Hey again, everybody. It's Andy from StarWars.com here at the Lucasfilm headquarters to talk to you about the Star Wars Rebels mid-season finale, Gathering Forces. This is Rebels Recon. While seeking answers, Ezra's deep-seated anger boils to the surface.
Coward! You could have stopped them! Why didn't you stop them?
The Padawan finally confronts his fear and connects with the Force. During a battle with the Inquisitor, however, he unknowingly embraces the power of the dark side.
Ezra, no!
Ezra is shaken by the experience, but with one thoughtful gesture, he takes another step toward letting go. At the Art and Science of Lucasfilm panel, the Rebels team spoke with local students about the creation of the series. This week, we'll be showing you highlights from the event's Q&A.
How did you decide to create Star Wars Rebels? What is the inspiration for that story?
Oh, that's a good question. We all kind of felt pretty strongly that in George's absence, as we were moving on with the company and he wasn't, that we shouldn't make that story anymore about Clone Wars without him. It just didn't seem right. So we thought we'd tell the story about Rebels. And, you know, it's very much about a group of people that are working really hard with smaller means to try and accomplish something great. I think that our team feels like that. We have a small group of people trying to accomplish something on a very tight schedule. So it was relatable to us, and it allowed us to put a little more fun and comedy into the story. You know, the problem in the Clone Wars was all the heroes kind of died at the end. It's kind of a downer. So it was nice to work in a period where the heroes can be a little more fun and are at least running from the villains in a fun way. And I think that that's what drove us in the story department.
Here, give this to Andy. Quit it. Whatever, I'll just do it myself.
This week's Deep Dive explores the dark side of the series. We sat down with cast and creators to talk about the Inquisitor and Ezra's clouded past. What characteristics are most important to keep in mind when you're creating a new villain for Star Wars, like the Inquisitor?
It's important to understand what their ideology is, right? What really defines them as a villain, why they've embarked on this role.
What makes the Inquisitor great for me, almost more than the look of it, is the voice. Jason does such a fantastic job.
He's awesome.
At being this guy and bringing a calmness to his evil, an intellectual aspect to his evil that we haven't really had so much before.
How was the concept of the Inquisitor inspired by the old expanded universe?
There's always been this idea, for as long as I can remember, of some type of Jedi hunting Inquisitor.
There have been some people who have noted that there's parallels between the old role-playing game and what we have in Rebels. In the old game, the primary purpose that they served was to give your Jedi characters a challenge because you couldn't sick Vader against your characters because they would die.
Have the show's creators shared the full backstory of Ezra's history with you?
They have not shared the full backstory. I'm lucky to get anything that's even in the episode. I'm like, does this mean exactly what I think it means? That's how discreet it is.
I think the ideas about what the Bridgers had been up to were some of our earliest conversations. You know, once we had moved beyond this idea of this group of rebels on this ghost, and we started talking a lot about this kid and what kind of life he would have come from.
It's very important when we're developing our characters to get a sense of who they are and where they come from. But at the same time, none of that gets fully baked until it gets exposed in the course of the show.
We have a version of the events, and then as his character evolves and we think we can tell the best story and get the best emotional response from the character, from the audience, we kind of tailor things towards that. And you have kind of an end game in mind, but you have to be open to opportunities that come along the way.
Over the last week, you've sent us your questions about Empire Days, so we tracked down the story group's Pablo Hidalgo to get his answer. All right, Pablo. John Maurer _Power asks, Kanan is often outmatched by the Inquisitor, but does that have more to do with Kanan's limitations or the Inquisitor's power?
Well, I mean, it's obviously a combination of both, but I think what we can't forget about this time frame is Kanan's level of Jedi training. He never completed his Jedi training. You get a sense of that if you've read A New Dawn, but that's going to become more and more apparent as the series progresses.
Awesome. Keep your questions coming to @StarWars using the hashtag Rebels Recon. Now here's your sneak preview of Path of the Jedi, which airs when the season picks back up in January.
So, did you take this test at my age?
It was different for me, Ezra. Everything was different back then. All that remains now is the Force.
And only my connection to the Force can lead me to the temple.
He can be taught.
There's There's a massive stone with a tunnel, I think, and a bright star inside of it. And it's right here on Lothal.
You sure?
I can't give you the coordinates, but I can direct us there. I know I can.
Thanks for watching Rebels Recon. That's all for the first half of Star Wars Rebels Season 1, but new episodes pick up again in January. To pass the time, check out our episode guides, trivia galleries, and more, only on StarWars.com. We'll see you next year. Again, everybody, this is Andy from StarWars.com here at Lucasfilm headquarters to give you an inside look at Empire Day, the newest episode of Star Wars Rebels, where our crew crashes an Imperial celebration.